Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were backstage at AEW, and a return was teased on Dynamite. Plus, was there a babyface turn on Dynamite as well? We're going to dissect that in a moment. And a popular WWE star has undergone surgery. It's all in the wrestling news right now. The Super Kick Party is back on. Cake and ice cream for all. A vignette aired last night on Dynamite that showed historical moments throughout the history of AEW, and it showed Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks being vaporized. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Like a Thanos snap.
Thanos is in Warner now. He's in DC now. What's that all about?
Well, there it is. That's it. That's a good point. Actually, to jump across the timeline there. After this video aired, lots of people sort of asking questions like, "What does this mean? Where is this going?" PW Insider and Fightful Select have revealed that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were backstage at last night's Dynamite taping. Reportedly, the first time that they have been since All Out. How do we thoughts on how we bring the Young Bucks back?
Ooh. Well, I think we've got
Bucks and Omega, basically.
Obviously. We've got a big show coming up, Tom. AEW have a big show coming up called Full Gear. I think like a really good way for AEW to kick out the year in a big way is to have them perhaps come back on that show. I think a lot of big things are going to happen on that show, and I think that would be one of the biggest to bring them back into that. What they do, I'm not too sure. At the moment. What do you think?
I mean, obviously they didn't lose the trios tag titles.
They didn't. That's very true.
And it would be a great way to kind of energize the trios tag titles.
Yeah.
I don't know how we feel across the board about the trios tag titles. I don't know whether it would be seen as something that's not big enough for the Bucks and Omega to come back and deal with.
I mean, it'd be a really good match to have, though.
Yeah.
The Death Triangle and the Elite. So I would definitely like to see that happen. Maybe we see them embroiled in something with, if Adam Cole comes back and, the Kingdom from Ring of Honor, we'll get all those again. We'll have a little blow off there, because obviously I don't think we're going to get the Undisputed Elite versus the Elite anytime soon. So maybe something there happens. I'm not too sure, but it's an exciting time.
It certainly is.
To be an AEW fan.
We're going to start seeing some of those names coming back, as we say, Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, as the All Out investigation, the Brawl Out and the Fallout from All Out seems to be all but done. And there's another report that's come from Nick Hausman about what went on behind the scenes. And, mate, there's a big part of me that, had I known this months ago, I'd have said, never bring them back.
Never, ever bring them back.
Never
Not
bring
after
the
this,
Young
I'm
Bucks
sure.
and Kenny Omega back.
A lot of people might agree as well. Should we tell them what's going on? Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc. says CM Punk, what am I on with today? CM Punk's dog Larry was accidentally injured during the all-out backstage brawl. According to the report, when Punk's door was kicked in, it accidentally struck Larry in the face. Punk took Larry to the vet, where they discovered that 2 of Larry's teeth had been loosened and had been removed. Now, when it comes to the altercation backstage, Wrestling Inc.'s report states Punk felt threatened and reacted in a legal way under Illinois Castle Doctrine laws, which allows for the use of force in defense of a person in their dwelling. At this time, there is no litigation against Punk on behalf of anyone involved.
You can fall out with each other, right? Young Bucks upset with the way that Punk spoke. I get it. Punk upset with working with flipping children. I get it. A Steel upset with Kenny Omega's bicep. I get it, right? You can fall out, you can argue, you can scream and shout, and you can brawl all you like. You do not involve that dog.
You leave the dogs out of it.
You do not involve that dog. That dog is an innocent bystander in all of this. We do not, as human beings, deserve dogs. And the fact that the result of this silliness meant that Larry the dog,
bless him,
he was not the prettiest dog in the world. He's a great boy.
He's a beautiful boy.
Still
He's
15 out of 10.
Boy.
Still a 15 out of 10.
And those teeth
good dogs,
are
Brent.
Those teeth are a big part of his personality as well. If it is perhaps like the front ones, his little snaggle tooth. Are they called snaggle tooth?
Snaggle tooth.
The little snaggle tooth. Oh, he's a cute boy. Leave him out of this.
Shut AEW down. Shut it all down. It's gone too far now.
It has.
It's gone too far. Did the firm go too far last night at the end of Dynamite? That is the question, along with the question of a babyface turn.
Question mark.
Talk us through this, Andrew, then we'll dissect it.
So obviously Dynamite ended last night, right? We had the firm after the match with Jon Moxley and Penta, the AEW title match. Moxley retains the championship, and then the firm, they come down, right? They come down to the ring. They're starting to beat on Jon Moxley. MJF comes out. Now, if we recall, right, earlier in the night, Tom, MJF cut a promo and was like, look, I want Jon Moxley at his 110% when I face him at Full Gear, okay? Stokely Hathaway comes out and he's like, don't you even dare, if you lay a finger on him, right? He said this, if you lay a finger on him before that match, I tell thee what, you're fired, pal. Well, Stokely Hathaway and the firm did not listen as they came out after Jon Moxley and Penta's match to put a beating on Moxley himself. And then after that, right, MJF comes out, is like, should I get in? Should I get involved? Maybe I should leave it. So they do take the thing. But now even further back, well, not that further back, but right before that, we see a clip. Backstage, Blackpool Combat Club, their doors have been chained shut. They can't get out.
The old classic.
The firm, they've chained it shut. They can't get out to save Moxley. So MJF comes out and he's like, he's conflicted. He makes his way down to the ring though, and ultimately, he makes the save. He tells Stokely Hathaway, you're fired. The firm is fired. And then they just turn on him. And he gets put through a table for his sins, even though he's not sinning. He was trying to be a nice boy.
He wasn't sinning, he was winning.
He was winning indeed.
Not at the end of that as he goes through a table. So this has led to a few people suggesting, is this MJF turning babyface? I'd say no. I think it adds an unusual shade of grey to the proceedings.
That's really interesting though, because on one hand, it does ultimately seem on the surface like a babyface turn, right? But then we are reminded that this is MJF, and MJF is full of layers like an onion. So to see how this is going to play out will be very interesting indeed. Are you leaning towards MJF picking up the win?
I think in terms of picking up the title, yes.
Yes, yeah.
I think this is all some manufactured plot. So on the night we get a big, it was a setup all along type situation. I think this is all part of that. But it's interesting that MJF is causing those conversations online about, is he turning babyface in time for the pay-per-view? No, keep that boy a heel. He's a phenomenal heel.
He's a phenomenal heel, but he doesn't necessarily have to be a babyface either. Like at the moment, as we can see, the crowd are like super behind him, no matter what he does, whether it is heelish stuff or not. So he's gonna sort of be in the middle. He's in the middle of these things, kind of towing the line perhaps between the two.
We're ruling out a full fat babyface turn for MJF. We could possibly be ruling out a WWE debut soon. So Vincent and Dutch, the Righteous, who were backstage at Raw t'other week.
Yeah.
And there were lots of people going, they'd be great to be part of whatever Bray Wyatt's doing. They've got the look. Na-na-na-na, 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 na-na-na-na. They've got the look. And there was a lot of people saying this would be a great way to start the Wyatt Six, bring them in that way. It doesn't look like that's the case now, because according to Twitter and Beyond Wrestling's official Twitter, they're booked to do Beyond Wrestling next month. Now, admittedly, that doesn't necessarily mean anything in this day and age. They could still get signed and they could still deal with all that as it comes.
Yeah.
But I would have thought that if they were going to come in, they'd have had something signed on the dotted line.
Yes.
Or not be at least taking more indie bookings at this point if they were going to be part of the proceedings.
Yeah, definitely. It's because they're like, they seem perfect, right, to be in a Wyatt faction with Bray Wyatt. Like their look and their demeanor and everything is perfect for that. But then at the same time, I'm like, if they're not going to be part of this, I'm even more interested to see how all the Bray Wyatt stuff is going to play out now.
If it is indeed a faction.
Well, that's the thing. If it is indeed, now that like sort of Dutch and Vincent could perhaps be out of the equation on this, that makes me even more interested in finding out what this Wyatt Six thing actually is.
Another chapter to be written tomorrow on SmackDown. We'll send our best wishes, last of all, to Tommaso Ciampa. It was revealed on Raw that he's out injured, which is why we've not seen him. He gave us a full update on that with a photo in his hospital bed with his daughter Willow after a successful hip operation. Ciampa wrote, "The road to recovery begins. It's a familiar road, almost too familiar. Special thanks to Dr. Emblem and his team for taking such incredible care of me. Thanks to WWE medical team as well for once again putting me back together. And thanks to my nurses at home for always giving me perspective. It took a while, but we finally found the cause of all of my glute SI back pain. A hip labrum that, quote, looked like shredded cheese, according to my wife, who watched the surgery. But it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward," to quote Rocky Balboa. He ends by saying, "Yes, Willow did indeed insist on dressing like a pirate for our trip to Birmingham." There she is. No, it's Alabama, Birmingham.
Oh,
Stop,
bloody
no
hell.
boy. If he went to Birmingham for it, all right, mate, yeah, we'll fix your hip labrum, no problem. But it's the Alabama one, where the nice doctors are. Birmingham.
fair enough,
Where
fair
they
enough.
pronounce the ham. No time scale for his in-ring return. What do we do with Ciampa when he comes back, though, Andrew?
There's lots of things. I said there's lots of things, right? Obviously,
Loads.
you've got The Miz. The Miz is there. The Miz is being like, "Oh, where's Ciampa? What's going on?" Johnny Gargano's on the other side being like, "I'm going to tell the truth. You know that Ciampa's injured. I'm going to tell the truth about you, expose everything between you and Dexter Loomis." There could be something there. There could be something there. There could be something there. We've got DIY. Come on, DIY. You see, that's an easy thing to write, I guess, when he comes back too. We know that when Triple H stepped into the role that he's currently in now, sort of, Ciampa was getting a big old push and he was having US title matches and everything as well. I think perhaps once the titles change, or maybe DIY are the ones to take the titles off the Usos.
DIY Uso S.
Oh my God. I just got that.
Ooh, tore my hip labrum with that one.
That was pretty good though.
Thank you.
That was pretty good.
Have a lie down now.
I've got a tear in my eye.
I've got a tear running down all my eyes. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day. At cultaholic.com. Stop being rude. Keys.
Love you, bye.